Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Announcements. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Friday, December 14th, 2018 at 9 a.m. at the Community Center, 3500 Edgewater Drive, Sebring, Florida. I have a second announcement. Our board president, Mark Camp, chose to resign his position effective Wednesday, November 7th. The board has 45 days to fill the vacant board seat and intends to do so at the December 14th meeting. The district will proceed to solicit applicants from any interested resident for the vacant seat. In the interim, as vice president of the board, I will conduct meetings. The board will hold an organizational meeting on December 14th and proceed with the election of officers for 2019 after the appointment of a new supervisor has been made. Please silence or turn off your cell phones. Consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Public comment? Chrissy?
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes. Action agenda. Resolution number 2018-11/09-46. A resolution of the Sun Lake Sebring Improvement District to establish the 2018-2019 Assessment Appeal Committee. Omar, you have comments?
We need a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Good morning, supervisors. Once again, every year we hold the annual assessment appeal meeting in order to provide the board with a recommendation. I am part of that committee. We will need an appointment of one of the board of supervisors as well as one property owner in the district. We sent out solicitations through e-blast and emails. We received 8 candidates who were interested in the position. We are going to make a recommendation for Paul Betts, just based on the timing of when the solicitation, his interest was received, whether he was current on his assessments, and how long he's been a property owner. So then, if you guys accept that recommendation, we'll need an appointment for the supervisor position.
Do you need a motion on that?
Yeah, we need a motion.
I make a motion that we go with Omar's suggestion.
Second.
Chrissy?
Supervisor Brooks?
Tell me what I'm voting for. I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
It's for the nomination for the Assessment Appeal Committee of Mr. Betts.
Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry.
Okay, before you do the vote, any public comment?
Could we at least hear the names of those that asked to be part of the committee?
Sure. So we had Daniel Page, Bill Norcross, Paul Betts, Joanne Sutton, Candido Garcia, Robert Mogul, Earl Lumpkin Sr., and John Quarles.
And we selected
Paul Betts.
the lawyer.
Who has been here how long in the district?
He has been here for 7 years, property owner in the district.
And that's the most of any of those?
That wasn't the most, but once again, he was the first one to solicit. He is current with assessment, and he is a 7-year tenured property owner. So we take those 3 into consideration. That was our recommendation.
Okay. No other connections with anybody on the board or anybody here in the district that's involved with district staff or anything like that, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Okay, Chrissy?
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
I said Supervisor Brooks.
Okay.
We'll need a nomination from the board.
One of the board members has to serve on that committee as well. So who wants to volunteer to do that?
My understanding is Ray Brooks expressed an interest in doing that, and I think that's fine.
Huh? Did I volunteer? Okay.
Thank you for volunteering.
My pleasure.
Do you need a motion on that?
No, I don't think so.
Do I get to vote on that?
No.
No? Okay.
Resolution number 2018-11/09-44. A resolution of Sun Lake Sebring Improvement District to adopt the strategic plan by Global Golf Advisors Incorporated. Tanya? Yeah.
Oh, you're on, that was on the consent agenda.
Yeah, we're on under the action agenda B.
We're on the action.
We already did that. What?
It's B on the action.
Action agenda, item B.
The equipment, the Alamo equipment?
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed that one.
Okay. Go back and read it. Just read it and do it.
Well, do we have to do them in order?
No, the other one's in the consent.
Well, the other one was in the consent agenda. I'm sorry. I beg your pardon. First day on the job. Resolution number 2018-11/09-47. A resolution of Sun Lake Sebring Improvement District to purchase a forklift and Alamo mower for the roads department under Florida Sheriff's State contract for $66,478. Tanya.
A motion?
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Good morning, Supervisors. We have two pieces of equipment here this morning for approval. First is the Toyota Model 8 FG-U20 forklift in the amount of $24,749. This piece of equipment does have a one-year standard warranty. And the second item under this resolution is the Alamo Ridge Runner remote-controlled mower. The amount for this purchase is $41,729 for a total of $66,478.
Is this under the budget?
Yes,
It is, isn't
it
it?
is within our budget. The Alamo mower comes with a one-year standard warranty, and we are purchasing a second-year warranty for that piece of equipment as well.
Any other board discussion? Public comment? Chrissy?
Supervisor Gilpin,
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
Yes.
Supervisor Branson,
Yes. Resolution number 2018-11/9-48. A resolution of Sun Lake Sebring Improvement District to approve cancellation of MetLife Insurance Plan in favor of the Florida Combined Life Insurance Plan.
Motion
Move
approved.
I'll second then.
Omar?
So this resolution, once again, we currently have been using MetLife for the past few years. It's a district benefit. We provide life insurance 2 times their annual salary, AD&D 2 times their annual salary, short-term disability and long-term disability. We've gone out, we've shopped the market. Florida Combined Life, which is a division of Florida Blue, was able to come back, cut their life insurance rate in half. The AD&D stayed the same, and then there are some savings on short-term and long-term disability. Internally, we have assessed the short-term and long-term. We feel like long-term should stay in place. Short-term, we really haven't seen a lot of usage, and as well as we recently made a new appointment for the employee handbook where employees can accrue 960 hours of sick time, which is twice the amount that would be covered under short-term disability, which is 12 weeks. So based on that, we are recommending that we stop the short-term disability coverage and then go with Florida Life on life insurance, AD&D, and long-term disability going forward.
Board discussion?
No real discussion. This was part of the committee that we went through, and it looks like it makes a lot of sense to me. We'll actually save money, and we'll be able to use that in giving the employees some better benefits on the other side. So it makes complete sense if you go through it.
Public comment?
Tom Costi, what's the financial impact on the taxpayers of Southern Lake?
So as proposed, it would be a savings of $15,000 to the district on those same benefits by dropping the short-term disability.
Okay, so there's no increase to the district's share,
Correct, no.
matching share, or anything like that?
Correct.
Those numbers that were on the
Yeah, all
in
these
the
benefits
packet?
are 100% paid by district. There's no employee contribution. So once again, the life insurance was cut in half. That was a $3,000 savings. AD&D stayed the same, and then there were some small savings on short-term.
Okay, thank you.
It's actually a savings to the district.
Okay, Chrissy?
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes. Resolution number 2018-11/09-49, a resolution of the Southern Lake Receiving Improvement District to award RFQ 18-07 for the golf equipment lease to EasyGo. Earl here, or
I'll move approval.
Second.
Cliff, that's fine.
Yeah, we've had Earl's been working on it really since about February, and you've seen as the bids came in, and so we're capping the bid. Is that is that what the resolution is? I don't.
We're recommending
Okay.
Textron EasyGo for
Okay.
a not to exceed $162,746.
Okay. Yeah, the bids came in. I guess Toro was over $220,000. Jacobson was $192, and we're really recommending the lowest bidder, Jacobson. Simple as that.
But with the ability to massage within the
We
number.
we need to. We actually think that within our bidding rules, we actually think that we can massage it a little bit and actually do a little bit better. So before we go to exactly final, I mean, we'll have Jacobson, but we will, I think, certainly be much lower than that 162 cap number.
So what we're being asked to approve is a not-to-exceed number within the budget,
Correct.
and an anticipation that it will be actually lower when we sign it. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's accurate.
Okay. Board discussion?
We're going to amend the budget then to, no.
No, we have $182,000 currently in the budget for the
As a
annual lease
placeholder.
payment. Yes.
Yeah, I got a question. So everybody, I mean, just so we understand, would it be correct in me assuming that after 4 years, the price will be at least what the bids were that came in originally? For example, EasyGo came in originally at $817,000. That was without a trade-in. So would it be correct for me to assume that if we renew, it's going to be at least $816,000 to go forward? Is that a good assumption on my part?
Probably not.
Because there's no trade-in.
Yeah, there won't be any trade-in, but there also is several pieces of the equipment that won't be on there. So the pieces that we're keeping that have a longer lifespan than 4 years, like the aerifiers, the grinders, and a few other pieces, and we'll evaluate at the end of that 4-year period to see if there actually are some other pieces that we might want to keep or even buy at fair market value. That number is that number. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's at the very highest end. I mean, the grinders will. I mean, we're going to buy those at the end of the lease. So they will not be in the second lease. The aerifiers, we're buying those at the end of the lease, so those will not be in it as well.
Okay, so we don't know. I mean, once we get into this, it's going to be very difficult, I assume, to get out of it.
Correct. There's a little bit of we don't know.
I mean, if it's 816 today, I guarantee in 4 years it'll be 840, 850.
It's very
I would
possible.
assume. things always go up.
Well, if I
So
remember,
that's just something for us to think about, because if we go 4 more years, it's going to go up to certainly higher than what we're paying now. May become price shock.
well, there's a lot of equipment in there that's $1 purchase at the end of the lease, so that we will keep, like the bed grinder, if I remember right, and the air fryers and several others
Several other pieces.
that have a useful life longer than the 4 years. So it could possibly go down. It just depends.
It very well could possibly go down. I mean, those air fryers are very expensive pieces of equipment, so.
I just got one other question. We're trading in, I forget what the number was in equipment.
Well, part of where we're going back to try to actually get that 162 number down is we think we're going to keep a few more pieces, and I mean some of the pieces that Jacobson, we're not really changing the bid, but we're trying to make it lower, and we're trying to reassess a little bit.
I could ask the obvious dumb question is,
Yeah.
why am I looking at this if it's not finished?
It's a good question. As the bids have come in, we just think we can do a little bit better. We're just trying to save money for the district.
I had asked Earl, and I don't know if maybe you have the number. If I understand this correctly, at the end of the 4 years, there's a $1 buyout on all the equipment, correct? Something like that?
No, there's a $1 buyout on certain pieces of equipment. It's fair market value on the majority of the equipment.
So that's the number I was looking for. I asked him to get me that number. If after 4 years, what do we got? What's it worth?
Well, we have first right of refusal to either buy the equipment at fair market value or return it back and renew for a second lease.
Yeah, I'm just saying at the end of the 4 years, I'd like for Earl to say to me, we're going to have this amount of inventory and it's worth this amount of money. I'd like to have that information.
Okay, I'll get that for you.
I don't see how you could have that information because you don't know what a mower is going to be worth in 4 years. It costs $50,000 today. It might be worth 10, or it might be worth 5, depending on, or 20, depending on the condition and depending on a lot of market forces. So coming up with a number today is probably not. I mean, you can give them a guess, I guess.
It would only be a really good guess. Correct.
But I do know that there's several pieces in there that are a $1 buyout that are, have a 10-year, 20-year useful life. So,
and that's why we did that, because we expect to keep those for 10 or more years.
Right. Moving targets. Best I can tell.
It's going to. You're right. It'll change. I mean, and it would only be a best guess.
How long will it take to get this thing finalized?
Well, before the contract is signed, we're going to work with EasyGo on getting the contract details. We will provide you a copy, okay? So you can see all the details of the equipment, warranties, parts, all of those things.
So today I'm voting on not to exceed, and then we'll eventually find out before we sign the contract what it is.
Correct.
Is that
Yes, sir.
Any further board discussion? Public comment? Thank you, Cliff. Chrissy?
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes?
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes?
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes. Okay, any add-on items?
None?
Petitions and communications?
None?
Staff reports?
I just have a few items. Budget books are out and online for the public to see. If you want a hard copy, feel free to stop by the office and get one. Year-end financials, we are finishing up all the financials this week. I'll have a presentation at the December 14th to just wrap up how the entire district financials ended up. We received $60,000 in additional FEMA money yesterday, which is a total of $125,000. I still believe we're the only entity in the county that's received any money from FEMA, which is good news. We only have two projects left. Debris still has not been paid and processed, which is about $180,000. And then we have our Vita Road, which is $60,000. So we have about $240,000 still pending to come through FEMA this year.
Do we anticipate any issues with those?
I do not. We're finalizing. We've been working with FEMA pretty closely. They've asked for some minor details on our Vita Road. I assume they're just holding off on debris just because that's probably the largest expense for the county and just in total for all the hurricane costs. So I'm assuming they're probably putting that last.
So if we get that, the total FEMA reimbursement will be?
It's going to be somewhere around $400,000.
Okay. That's great. Any other board discussion? Okay.
Good morning, Supervisors. Just a couple of quick updates as well. I reported in our last meeting that we were getting ready to go full swing Christmas, and that's exactly what we're doing. Next week, we will have some information going out in the newsletter regarding a Christmas light challenge that we'll be hosting in the district. It's going to be just a community initiative where we're going to encourage residents to really, dress up their homes and participate in this challenge so that we give people in the community and people in the Highlands County community a nice place to bring their families to ride around and look at the Christmas lights during that holiday. Been working with Mike and George and their teams. They've been great getting up some of the Christmas decorations, the lights, wrapping the trees, and getting ready for Christmas evening when we will light those up. So we'll have those ready to go pretty shortly. We have a completed bid advertisement regarding marketing for a full-service marketing agency that we're going to be ready to promote, I believe, next week. So just a brief overview of what we're looking for in a full-service marketing agency. It's an agency that will help the district develop and execute a marketing strategy for Sun and Lake to increase awareness and stimulate demand for living in Sun and Lake. This will help with a consistent communication and marketing message and increase our online presence both on the district's website especially, and help with the redesign of that website, as well as social media platforms. This is a continuous project, so once this is awarded, it will be an agency that we work with throughout the year. So it's not, they don't just come in and kind of help us build this. We will work with them continually with graphic design and then the implementation for social media and our website. So that will be, the website, I believe, will be for the district, the restaurant, and the golf course. So we will kind of merge those so that we have a more user-friendly and aesthetically pleasing website to push our traffic to.
Wait, I have a question. We're going to have one website, correct? Is that what we're trying to get to, one website, Sun and Lake?
Yes, virtually that is the plan. So, I mean, obviously, there are some pieces. So Cliff's Golf is going to have a few more pieces than the district will. So kind of separating those in pages, I guess, if you will. So we'll...
I think that I would like to see, I don't know how everybody else feels, we need one website. So if a guy up in Wisconsin is checking out places to move to Florida in, and he finds a Sun and Lake website, that he could see all about us.
Correct. And what this agency will help us do, this is something that they obviously specialize in. So what they'll do is they will certainly help with that landing page. So like you said, when someone comes and they Google or they're looking for somewhere to live in Florida or a golf course, then what it is that there's a landing page that's going to give you all of this information at once. Now, if you wanted to go and view some more specific information, then just like any other website, you're going to click on golf, and then you're going to get a little bit more specified information for Cliffs. But it is, yes, one website, a one-stop shop, yes.
And I think we're wrong to hire a marketing company. We're not ready for it. I'm sorry, we're not. I don't know how. First of all, I don't know how we fund it. I don't believe there's any money in the budget to hire a marketing firm that I'm aware of. Secondly, I think you got to get the website fixed, and then you can talk about a marketing company. I mean, it would seem like we're rushing into something that maybe...
The district has $50,000 in their budget for advertising and marketing, and the bid itself will be broken out into 3 different areas. One main area is the website and combining the 2 websites together. So that'll be a big big piece of the puzzle.
We can't market ourselves to the websites, correct?
But the marketing firm is an integral part of the website development?
That is correct.
That's what I would have assumed, yeah.
It is.
So, is that got to be an RFP or what? I mean, we're going to...
Yes, sir, it has to be an RFP. We need to advertise it. We'll be submitting advertisements locally next week. And the requirement on the bids is to advertise once a week for 2 weeks.
So we will sign this. Do we sign this, or what do we do?
We're going to, after we receive the bids, we'll bring back the proposals to the board. It depends on how many there are. If we have 10 proposals, we will review those internally.
And the bid is for what? I'm sorry, for a marketing company? And we all agreed to this already? Did I miss that vote or that conversation?
No, we reviewed it internally, and we are recommending to the Board of Supervisors that the use of that $50,000 is in our best interest to hire a full-service marketing firm with the website integrated into that proposal.
So you think
and we do believe
we can do a website and hire a marketing firm for $50,000?
Correct. We have received a quote for less than that.
I think we'd be making one big mistake. If that's all it cost us, it's like global all over again.
I mean, we have a right to refusal, but we're going to see what those bid amounts come into.
Yeah, Ray might be completely right, but I'm willing to listen.
Let's see what we get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cliff, do you have anything?
Kind of as you all know, and you can see on the golf course, it's been very busy. Our October numbers are really exceptionally strong compared to last year. Of course, last year was kind of the last of the month that we were recovering from that hurricane, and we're up really just tons in every category: green fees, cards, pro shop, and food and beverage, kind of was expected. So and really trending really much higher from some of the other years. So I've kind of got my first preliminary numbers from October and working on final with those right now. Membership, kind of the same way, slightly up in numbers of members. We're to date, comparing apples to apples, we're 2 members up at this time from last year, from 286 to 256 to I can't remember exactly, 256 to 258. And dollars collected are up kind of proportionally as well. We're up about $30,000 in membership revenue collected to date too. So all good. And really November is trending a lot of the same way that October has trended. And again, you can see it in the golf course and you can see it in the restaurant. It's been very busy. So, and we continue kind of what we've been doing. We had a great Halloween event. We really had a great welcome member back event that was very well received from members. The last member social was really well attended. We'll have another one of those in December. Tomorrow I have my first new member breakfast, as all the new members have re-signed. So we have 18 people signed up for that tomorrow for the new member breakfast, and this will be a big orientation meeting to let them know what it's like to be a member of Sun and Lake. So everything is trending well.
Cliff, I have one question. In the data you sent out, you show 10 more full family memberships than last year. Do you know what of that 10 is renewals of the free membership and what's really new other than that?
10 less.
No, it's 10 less.
10 less.
10 less full family members.
I misread that? Okay.
Yeah, so I think what's happened is that and if you look too, the singles are up almost exactly the same amount. So I think the families, or the man and wives, instead of just rejoining, they're rejoining just by themselves, and the wives will just be playing a la carte. So, and we'll be charging them proportionally as they play. But yeah, there's been a little bit of a swap there.
I see the rounds are really impressive for October. What you gave us, member and public. So that's excellent compared to last year. What is the GF dollars per round and the FP dollars?
Green fees per round.
I'm sorry?
Green fees per round. So what that tracks is the public rounds, the people who come and pay green fees to us.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we have the total amount of rounds divided by the total amount of dollars that we collected is the dollars per round. So what we're trying to track is every single person that kind of walks into our business to see how much they're spending on green fees and how we're trending. It's meant for a way for us to kind of evaluate our pricing and kind of evaluate where we're at. So,
Can I get that rate? That's a pretty good rate, Mr. Sergeant.
well, but that's an average blending of all of the rates. So, and we're not in full season yet.
You know that a board member, or excuse me, a person who lives in this community who does a single membership, who plays 130 rounds, it's like once every 2.5 days or whatever, pays $30 a round. Just thought I'd throw that out. It's a little bit higher than what's down here.
I'll give you some more accurate information about if you want to see a larger breakout of how that number is attained, and I'll do that. So the goal was to show you where the trend was heading. That's all. Questions? All right, thank you.
That's all on staff reports.
Okay. General Counsel report.
All right, I received a email from Stephen Braun, who's the Chief Operating Officer from Tanglewood. He apologized for not getting back to us earlier. I guess the original plan was to have some sort of talks in October. He requested some information. I'm getting that information to him, and then we're going to try and get something scheduled about potentially negotiating the 96 contract sometime, possibly in December, but likely it'll be next year. Tanya and I met with Supervisor Branson going over code enforcement, and I've been, after the discussion last meeting, I've been reviewing our permitting for driveways and water sewer taps. We're going to have some proposed changes to our policies regarding the permits and for code enforcement that probably won't be at the next meeting, but the following meeting, for first meeting of next year, maybe second, because I know we got the landowners meeting. Finally, there's been some issues going on with the Veterans Golf Tournament, and the board has prepared a statement, which I'm going to read into the record. Letters dated November 8th, 2018, reads, Dear golf members, this message has been prepared in an effort to curtail some of the misinformation which is circulating through the district regarding the Veterans Golf Tournament. First, it should be noted that the SNL Veterans Relief Fund is not a legal organization recognized by the state of Florida. The board approved $500 within the promotional line item of the 2018-2019 budget to help offset golf and restaurant expenses associated with the tournament. Further, the statement that the Board of Supervisors voted in a, quote, closed secret meeting to reduce the proposed funding, end quote, is patently false. And as the final 2018-2019 budget was adopted at a publicly held meeting on September 28, 2018. At no time in a previous adopted budget were any funds allocated to the Veterans Tournament by the district or the Board of Supervisors. While it is unfortunate some of the tournament organizers were dissatisfied with the level of assistance approved by the board, it is improper to disparage the actions of any supervisor by distorting or manufacturing facts. Ultimately, the decision not to hold a Veterans Golf Tournament this year was made solely by tournament organizers, and all further questions regarding the cancellation of the tournament should be directed to those responsible, Mr. Howard Umfress or Mr. Curtis McCullough. It's signed by the board. That's all I've got.
And that will go out by email today to all the members.
Dave, I have a question on what Joe's working with you. I know Joe's been an advocate about the trash cans. Is that part of the...
Absolutely. What we're trying to do is we're trying to be the way that the code enforcement is currently worded. It allows code enforcement officers to issue citations, which are basically tickets for violations that they see. There is, as the ordinance is drafted, the maximum fine is $500, but there is no other information regarding what those penalties should be, and that leaves obviously a lot of leeway in the code enforcement officer's hands. And so what we're going to be proposing to the board is basically a breakdown of what the penalties are going to be for different code violations, so that the code enforcement officers don't have to try and come up with something, that they've got it spelled out to them very easily, and it'll be obviously available to the public, so they'll know what those violations are going to be and what it'll cost them.
Okay, and Mike, have you seen any reduction of people doing something with their trash and our trash cans and not leaving them out so public can see them?
Yes, a little, but not completely.
Yeah, okay.
We do put stickers on their trash cans. Some they can't swim out early, they got to swim back in. The other problem with Joe, and I agree, is they're supposed to be out of sight, and some people have built retaining walls or whatever to hide them, but a lot of people have not.
Yeah, I know when we started, you went out and talked to just about everybody. And I've noticed a lot of nice walls up to hide it, but there's still a lot.
And we're a year and a half with these cans.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But the issue really is the way that the current verbiage is, it doesn't have a lot of teeth, and our practice is not to bite sometimes when we maybe should. So what we're proposing is a fairly well-defined set of rules and procedures we'll follow when the infractions occur. And the good news is none of this has to go to the county for approval. We are changing our local ordinance and our local policy and procedure.
And that's exactly what we need. Absolutely. That's exactly what we need.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate the county put us in this position by buying big ugly trash cans, but we gotta live with what we got, and I don't know what else to do.
People think that trash cans are too big, but they can go to the county with, smaller ones.
Yeah, they'd be glad to give you a smaller one if you want it. I've had to do that.
Yeah.
But, that's exactly what we need. We gotta get it in writing, and so we can find them and go from there.
Very good, thanks.
Okay, General Manager's report.
Good morning, Supervisors. I think staff has covered most of about everything this morning, so just a couple things. Announcements. The district office will be closed on Monday in observance of Veterans Day. And I will have a full project update for the board next week on the clubhouse in the Lanai. Mr. Michael Griffith is the architect for the Lanai, and Cliff Schultz is the architect for the kitchen expansion. They both have agreed for December 17th as a mandatory pre-bid meeting for this project, and it will be held at the clubhouse at 10 a.m. So that we are progressing, but at this time I don't have an update for you, but I will next week. I can send that out to you in an email.
So a pre-bid is just to get it ready to go out for bid?
Yes, what that means is that the vendors that are interested in responding to the bid, they will need to participate in a mandatory pre-bid meeting. They all sign in, they learn about the project, they learn about the details, and so those will be the authorized vendors to actually put in a bid for this project.
And then they
that
have
show up.
approximately how long do they have before they have to get it back to us?
We'll give them probably until second or third week of January, so that we'll give them plenty of time. Because of the holidays, it's, unfortunate we do have contractors schedule vacations and other things, so we don't want to we don't want a bid requirement or a bid deadline right there at the Christmas holiday time. Any other questions?
Okay, unfinished business?
None.
New business?
None.
Committee reports?
Yes, I'd like to give the board an update on the retirement plan committee meeting on October 31st. The committee for the retirement is represented by Mr. Stiegel, myself, and employee of the district, Rob Dingle. Omar, he was the chair for the meeting. We talked about many things during that meeting, but we currently did a plan overview of what the district has for retirement, what the fiduciary responsibilities are, what the plan fees are, and the plan structure, including we talked about employee participation, possibility of mandatory employee participation, and district participation. So Omar is going to come back with some information for the committee, and we're looking at January maybe for a possible.
Yeah, we're going to try and shoot for end of December. We've reached out to Nationwide to come back with some other alternatives, but we'll see. We're trying to schedule that now, so we'll keep you guys up to date as to what they come back with.
I guess one comment I would make is that we're trying, and appropriately so, to get an opportunity for the employees to meet with the Nationwide or whoever representative so that they can get some advice on how to manage their money that's in this thing. You can't just say the website's out there and go get it, because a lot of people aren't that computer literate. So we have to have an opportunity, and actually we have a fiduciary responsibility to do that, and it's probably not being met now, or at least not being met to our satisfaction. So that's one of the reasons to look at it. And I do know that we've looked up Nationwide. I had them previously, and they are pretty good at that sort of thing.
Okay, public comment.
Tom Costy, resident. Before you guys vote on a replacement for Mark on the board, I assume that we will have a mailing going out from the district for the water bill. Is that correct?
What?
Will there be a mailing before the board votes on a replacement for Mark Camp?
We haven't discussed that internally, how we're going to get the information out. We will do an e-blast. I think that is the most efficient way to get out to most of the community, but we haven't discussed that internally just yet.
Could you explain the efficiency of the e-blast reaching most of the community? How does that work? Last I saw, there's 940 correct email addresses of district residents on the e-blast list. 940. Actually, there's 1,800 and some on the list, but only 940 of them are survive the test of never bounce, which checks whether or not they're correct. Personally, I'm on the list for 2 or 3 different email addresses that I've had in the past. So you're saying that the best way, the most efficient way to reach the entire community, all of the residents, is to go out with an e-blast?
No, Tom, I'm not. I'm not going to stand here and get in an argument, but I am saying...
I'm not arguing.
I know, but I am saying that is the first way that we can reach the residents of the district. It won't be the only way.
When will the next water bill go out?
Next week.
Next week. Is there any reason that the residents could not be informed that a seat on the board is opening up? And if anybody's interested, please let us know. Could that be placed in that water bill mailing? Is there a problem with that?
We'll look into it. We haven't talked about it. We'll look into it, though. That is a good...
Well, let's talk about it. The meeting's still underway.
Let us internally talk about it. I think that is the best way to reach the residents. I agree. But we haven't established exactly when. I didn't know when the water bills were going to go out. So, yeah.
A lot of people don't get a mailed water bill, Tom. So
how many? I mean, we're talking thousands. We got 4,000 water bills that go out or something of that nature. And when we say that we can reach them by an e-blast or with social media, it doesn't happen that way. We've got a mailing that goes out every month. We spend $30,000 or more in stamps per year on mailings to the community. And I don't think we're really trying to reach the members of the community who do not attend this meeting or are not members of the golf course or on the e-blast list, which again, there's about 940 good email addresses on that list. That's all. And we got 4,000 water bills going out. Thank you.
Good morning, Bill Norcross, resident. I had a couple of questions for Cliff, and I just...
He's back in the back.
Cliff?
Cliff?
Cliff, I have a couple of questions and a brief statement here. I really appreciate you being, or I being a taxpayer and the diligence that you're doing to procure the equipment. Now, the difference in price up there was $30,000, which is quite a difference if it's the same amount of equipment. Basically, I think that's a very good day's work of finding out the right people and fit the bill. Also, on your warranties, make sure that everything is covered. Now, I did have a question in years past. A suggestion was made that a barcode be put on each piece of equipment, and as it goes out, it's tagged for the longevity and the amount of time used in that thing. Is that possible?
Well, every piece of equipment really has a timer on it anyway. As it's turned on, they have usage meters on them already. So, those are used for
More like your odometer on your car or something.
I think the other piece of this bill is the new lease includes an updated state-of-the-art preventative maintenance program. So all that information will be readily available. We'll know how many hours everything ran. We'll know what the maintenance costs were on it, when it had to be maintained. So we'll have a wealth of information that isn't available to us today from the software we're using. And we can put any other equipment that we happen to own on that same software.
Right.
So Earl and I have discussed that at length, and so having barcode and scanning would just be another step that wouldn't give you anything you're not going to have anyway.
And Dan had a question on depreciation. Or, you can't say it's going to be automatic 5 or 10% depreciation every year because of the equipment and the rough use and that sort of thing like that. But I really want to thank the work that, as a taxpayer, try to keep everything at the best price and the best value. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Good morning, Javita McKinney, resident.
Hi, good
I
morning.
feel like singing a song, but anyway, don't give me a mic, I'll sing. I have something for you. The suggestion only I have is Florida State, Florida University, and also this Florida State right around here, before Avon Park, South Florida. They have business departments that would do the website as a project, the seniors. So that's one way to check on pricing even. And they do an excellent job. I've had them do my business website. So, but I'm a nonprofit, you all know nonprofit. But that's one way to do it, too, another way. And the other thing was to add maybe I did mention this last time, your golf stuff on the website, which is a good idea, and have a store so people can buy that don't even maybe come here to golf, include it so that they can buy it. Is that already being done? Okay, great. That's excellent. But I've never received the email, too, so I wanted to mention that. You made a good point. And I've been here 2 years. So. But I like to mail in stuff.
We can get you on the email list if you want to give your email to Ariel, and we'll add you to it.
All right.
Additional public comment. Discussion to and from the board.
Yeah, I have a couple of things. I want to ask Tanya and the rest of those in charge of when we put out for a new supervisor. I'd like you to give us enough time to talk to all of them, and so the deadline should be somewhere in where we have a chance to talk to them as much as we can, because
we have on occasion, excuse me, I didn't want to override it, but we have on occasion had people bring a resume to the meeting.
and just make that part of of the thing that I just would like plenty of time to be able to talk to everyone, to give everyone a chance. And and I would appreciate, if you can, the December 14th meeting, if we're going to put him or her on at that time, do we have nothing really important, or bring that, or let us know what's going to be on there, because I've kind of become a veteran of all these new people that we put on the board, from people resigning. And there's been a lot of people come on the board and have to make some tough decisions the first time they sit down, and I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair to the rest of the supervisors. I don't think it's fair to the new person. So just give us some time. And the last thing is, I'd just like to publicly thank my friend Mark, that has been on the board with me for about 3 years. And I can't think of anybody that didn't work harder than he did. And I just want to thank him for his time that he spent here. And I will certainly miss him on the board. That's all I have, Joe.
I do have a few things, not to disappoint anybody.
Shocking.
So we were doing I did recently, and I think all of us did. We did reviews for Tanya, and we did reviews for our good friend David. So when I was going over Tanya's review, I said to her, "We have nothing on Casper." I said, "Casper works for us, but we have no. I mean, who does Casper's review?" And the answer was, we don't do Casper's review. And I personally think that's 100% incorrect. They work for us. We should review the performance of Casper here. So I would like to propose that we come up with something and include them in the process when we do reviews every year. That would be one. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I think that's more than appropriate, and it would give us a structured way of looking at what makes us happy and what doesn't. And I would strongly advocate that when the reviews are finished, that we sit down with Cliff and or Ron, if he chooses, and have the discussion face to face, so that if there's questions or clarification needed, it happens. So I would support that 100%.
Me too.
I would think Casper would want to know how we feel about him.
Yep. I agree, and I've talked to Tanya about that as well.
That's one. We all received this letter from Billy Casper on the kitchen. It was dated November 2nd. I think all the boards got it. And this is their answer to our request for a what do you call it?
Business plan.
A what? Business plan. So my question just to you guys is this what you were looking for, or do they have to go back to the drawing board? I mean, we should have this conversation now, because if it's not what you wanted, we should tell Cliff now so he can adjust it. Or if this is what you wanted, then we'll just wait for the bids to come in.
If you're asking me, I think it's a good start. I've already talked to Cliff that I think we probably should do projections past the first year, so that we, and granted, anytime you do a 3 or 5 year plan, it's a lot of it's pie in the sky, and you have to kind of make a lot of assumptions. But that's a 1 year deal. We probably need a longer term.
So this is it needs to be massaged.
I think it's fine as it is for what it is, but I think I would personally like to see, all right, if we do this, we can be here in 3 years or 5 years. I think without much question, I'm going to pat Cliff on the back, which is kind of dangerous, but I will say to you that I think we've seen the examples of a first-class leader who understands what this place is supposed to look like, and you're seeing it in the increases in volume in the restaurant and on the golf course as well. it's kind of interesting. One of the things when I was interviewing Cliff before he came here, he said to me, we're in the yes business. When a member wants something, the answer is yes. It's not no, unless it's just totally unreasonable. And I think everybody that goes to the restaurant or plays golf or whatever gets that impression. If you played in the golf tournament, the welcome back or the Halloween, I mean, it's a dramatically improved. And don't get me wrong, Jim Kurtzborn's a good friend of mine and a good guy and a good manager. But Cliff's got a lot of experience and seen a lot of things that I think are having a positive impact. That's my response. I don't know what.
All right, so if we're good with it, we're good with it. That's fine. I just wanted to know.
I mean, I would agree with Dan. It's a great starting point. It's pretty hard to go out and quantify things in dollars and cents. And I don't know that we were necessarily asking for that. So more massaging over time would be appreciated.
Two more things. At the end of the last meeting, I brought up that we should possibly look into doing a survey for the 900 residents, or whatever the list is, on the capital expenditures that we're planning to make over the next 3 to 4 years. And it met with no response whatsoever from the board. So I just wanted to bring it up again because I still think it's something that we should do. I think it's something that we owe the people in the district. If we're spending their money, we should tell them what we're going to spend, what we're planning to spend it on. And I was just wondering if you guys wanted to revisit it.
I'll jump in deep water again. I don't think we have a 5-year capital plan. I think we have a wish list, and I think we have never sat down and actually gone through. There's stuff in there that we don't need to do. We just let everybody put everything in there. But at some point in time, once now we're through the budget, we're going to have to sit down and say, listen, we're not spending $1.5 million on doing a new office, even though it's in that 5-year wish list. I mean, we have to sit down and be reasonable. And I think at that point in time, once we have said this doesn't make any sense, that doesn't make any sense, then I don't disagree with you. It's a good idea to talk to the residents. But, you know, you really have to have something to say, how would you prioritize this expense? You know, do you want us to do a new pool, or do you want us to do bocce ball courts or whatever? So,
well, I think the prioritizing, I think that would be our responsibility. But the question is, do they want us to build a new recreation center? Do they want us to build a new equipment room? I mean, that's you know, I think we need feedback. And then once we got the feedback, then the board can prioritize. I agree with that. I don't think that would not be in our best interest to have the community or the district people, or the people who live in the district start to prioritize for us. Then we'd be here forever. But we need to know if they like the idea.
Yeah. But I guess my point is, would you put a new district office in there? Well, if you were doing it today, you'd have to, because that's part of the 5-year capital plan that we haven't really revised. That would be my thought. Once we get to the point where we can't, $8 million, $9 million in projects in there, that's not going to happen. I don't think anybody believes that. But we don't need another wish list from everybody in the community who wants whatever they want. Yeah, we'd all like to have a bigger pool, and we'd all like to have a workout center, and we'd all like to have all the things in the world, but there has to be some practicality. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm trying to agree with you, but a question of timing.
Yeah, Ray, I feel the same way. I don't mind talking about it, but I've been waiting for answers on the kitchen and answers on the $270,000 on the project that you've worked on, you know, and stuff like that. But I'd like to wait. We certainly need to get together and have a 5-year plan. But, you know, and my views might change from year to year, but it's something that we should probably do. But I just don't think it's I agree with you, but I just don't know right now if that's the priority that, I'd like to get through the rest of the year and see what we're going to do with the kitchen and lanai. And if we get that grant, on the stuff, they're all great ideas. But there's stuff on there or most of the stuff on our 5-year plan now, I would never vote to put it on there right now.
May I recommend a workshop for capital discussion in the very near future?
I agree.
Okay, for the board, will that?
And
Joe?
with the current short agenda situation we're in, making that a post-meeting thing as opposed to a separate meeting probably makes sense. But yeah, I do think we need to, as a body, take a serious look at the 5-year capital plan and also think in terms of Global Golf's recommendation that we actually turn that into a 10-year capital plan. However pie in the sky-ish it gets as you go further out.
Right. I got one more, but you want to let her go first? Well,
Helena Degnan, and I'm a resident, and I want to comment that I do think a survey at some point in time is a good idea, so that you can possibly set a goal for a future that might work in your 5-year or a 10-year plan. I think the dog park was a great addition to the community, and I think that a survey went out asking the residents before the dog park was decided on. So whether you add pickleball courts or bocce ball or whatever, those kinds of things, I think if you know what the residents want, if you have a great majority that want this or they want this added, then you could add it to your plan. That's the only reason I think that a survey may be a good idea, instead of having people complain that you didn't ask the residents. So that's my comment.
I got one more. This whole issue...
Wait a minute, Bill.
Huh?
Bill, wait a second. We'll get public comment in a bit. Let Ray finish, please.
I got one more. This issue with the what happened with the veterans tournament and this whole situation. I know we signed a letter, but I just got to go on record as saying it was very difficult when I walked out of the house 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, and there's a poster in my front yard with a letter telling me that the board has screwed over the Veterans Committee, basically. And I took huge offense to that. I don't mind that the Veterans Committee is upset with the board because they didn't get the money that they wanted. I can live with that. But when the Veterans Committee is telling people that I associate with lies and pointing the finger at the board, I take that personally. And I don't understand why nobody in the Veterans Committee had the guts to come before the board and talk to us. And all they did was write emails and make accusations. And if I wasn't on the board, I would tell you honestly how I feel about it, but I'm not allowed to. I just don't get it. And now we have stooped, the board, in my opinion and my opinion only, we're writing letters back. We're just going down to their level. I don't get it. We're adults. Because they do it, we do it. I can't wait to see what the next rebuttal is to our letter. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's unfortunate. It never should have happened. That's all I got to say.
Can I piggyback on that comment? I don't know what would motivate anyone to sit down and write a 2-page document if they knew going in they didn't have the backbone to sign it. Anonymous communication delivered in the middle of the night is a coward's way of doing business. And it has consumed a huge amount of this board's time, individually and collectively, as well as a huge amount of the members' time. And it needs to go away, and it needs to never surface again. Period.
Yeah, I'm done.
I have a hard time talking about it because I tend to get excited when somebody calls me a liar and a thief. So I'll just leave it at that. I personally intend to address the situation with the people responsible and already have. I do have a couple of things I just wanted to make clear. One is that the lease that Cliff and Earl are talking about basically was recommended by Global Golf. We were already doing it, but that was part of their recommendation, that we look at leasing short-term equipment, 4 years or less. We also piggybacked on that to put in some longer-term stuff like the bed grinder and stuff like that at a 1 year, a $1 buyout on the lease. We could just go ahead and buy it, but it makes more sense to do it and have it all one thing. So I think it's a no-brainer from as far as I'm concerned. If we want to get the golf courses, if we want to continue to have the golf courses better than they are, which is part of our basic plan to attract more people and more money here, that's number one. Both courses are in incredible shape. And Earl and Cliff really both, and all of their people, deserve all the kudos we can possibly give them. And absolutely. And I think that also the tournament that we had, that Cliff recognized all of his people and all of their people, or to the extent that they could. Earl couldn't get all his people in there, but I think, the more you recognize people for doing a good job, the better they do. And that was just completely positive to me, and I want to make sure that Cliff hears that. A couple of other issues, the website situation. I agree with Ms. McKinney that we could use some of the expertise at South Florida College, but I would also point out to her that one of the people we're talking to about bidding on a marketing is the people that do South Florida College's marketing. So, and I think they're real good at it. They get a lot of publicity. So I don't even know who they are, but they do a really good job. Last thing, as far as getting a replacement for Mark, that's going to be tough to do because Mark spent a huge amount of time working and trying to do the best that he could possibly do. I would think we would be remiss if we only tried to attract a person for this board through one avenue, and I don't think that's what Tanya was talking about. I think the first thing to do is send it out on an email blast, but then we follow it with whatever contact information we can get so that we get information to every person who is interested who lives in the community. I can tell you for sure that I avoided getting on this board like the Purple Plague for darn near 20 years, and I'm still not sure I did the right thing getting on it, but it consumes you, and it's a lot like the tar baby. Once you get a hold of it, it's hard to turn loose, and I would really love to see a full field of candidates that we could talk to. I agree with Mike completely that having the opportunity to sit down with everyone who is interested and talk through what it requires, what's expected, would be positive for us and for them. So we should have at least a week or two between the time that the cutoff for who's interested and the time that we vote on them, just to make sure. And if we had to wait for another meeting, I'd be in favor of doing that. This is a pretty important decision, and we need to make sure that we do it properly. And I think that's it. I believe I got an email that we're going to start taking down those diseased pine trees next week. Is that right? I don't know.
I'm not sure, Dan. Let me.
Earl. Okay. The crossing in Payne, that was a 3-phase deal. We got a bunch of pine trees out there that are being killed by pine beetles, and if we don't get them down and get them out of here, we're going to have a bunch more dead. So the sooner we get it done, the better.
We originally had them scheduled for about a week and a half ago. They have a contract with the state of Florida, and they had to go to North Florida when the hurricane hit, so we're a couple of weeks behind. I met with Billy their manager for our property. We rode, I think, Monday or Tuesday of this week. Their target right now is Thursday of next week, but we're first priority for this county, I guess you could say. So, yes, they'll be here shortly.
Great, thanks. It's just, the more I look at them, the more afraid I am that we're not going to have any pine trees left if we don't get something done. It's somewhat unfortunate that we didn't allocate the money for last year and get them all down while they were here, but that's on us. That's not on you. Okay, thanks.
Any other board-to-board discussion? Okay, we had one person for sure that had a public comment.
Bill Norcross. I like Ray's idea of surveys. Anytime that you can find out from the public exactly what their feelings are. But the problem I have with surveys on multiple capital projects, it's hard for me to. I mean, we could have somebody come in here and have 50 different ideas how to paint this room. So I think it would probably be more beneficial if people would come to the meetings and then they take a look at what's available, where their projects are, and then give us some kind of feedback. I mean, there's people out there that are just not paying attention to what's going on, and it's up to you people right here. That's your job, to come up with these projects and be able to fund it. Now, taking a survey, somebody would say, well, gee, I want my road fixed. Oh, do you want a new building? You want a kitchen? No, you want this? It gets very, very confusing. And what I'd like to see, if Earl would adopt this suggestion, is a survey is that a suggestion, or how do you feel about this or that, I think would be more valuable. And especially when you narrow it down to, you go into the pro shop, you have a card, and it says, how'd you like the golf course? Bump, bump, bump. What do you think that you'd like to have changed? Your email address, and guess what? If you fill it out, tear off the corner of it, you go get yourself a draft beer. And you know what draft beer is? That'd be like having a 2-for-1, because somebody's going to have another beer. And you'd probably get a good idea exactly what the T's are too small, the distance is too far, or whatever it is. A suggestion, that type of zeroing in on a product or something that's being done here. So I just wish that they would come back with some kind of cue card for the pro shop, and so they get a better idea. On another subject, you guys have given a lot of accolades to Mark Camp, and I understand that, and you have to understand that I am related to him by marriage. And I have argued with him many times, and Mark has always won the argument because he has the facts. He would research these facts, he'd find out why, where, and then I think I lose the argument most of the time. And I think you've lost a industrious, hard-working guy, and I hope the replacement can at least match up to the work that he did. And I really appreciate it, and I think everybody else does. Thank you.
Tom Costi, resident. I'd like to echo Bill's thoughts and the other comments on behalf of Mark's performance here. I think we also all ought to do, and I'm speaking to the board and to the staff, do some real soul searching and find out what has gone wrong here in Sun and Lake. In the last 4 years, we've had 5 supervisors resign before they finished out their term on the board. Something is not happening properly. I don't know if it's a staff issue or I just don't know. We seem to have a board that has functioned for a large percentage of the time as a golf committee, a golf course board. The golf operation is 40% of our budget. Seems like that should come under the direction of the staff. And an awful lot has been sprung on the board at the last minute, everyday decisions to make about golf expenditures without a recommendation, without any presentation of the pros and cons. If we do this, this will happen, or if we don't, this might happen. It simply comes to the board for a decision. And we end up spending 30% of the year talking about golf course problems, which, in my opinion, should have come with a recommendation and a good support presentation from staff about why we should or why we shouldn't. Something is amiss when we have 5 board supervisors resign their position on the board before their term is up over a period of 4 years. Thank you.
Rusty Carino resident. I'd like to talk about the use of a survey.
Sir, I can't hear you. Could you speak up?
Yes, I'd like to talk about the use of a survey. The survey, first of all, you have the fiduciary responsibility of our money. The survey is just the beginning step of where we go from. Okay, and by surveying, getting an idea from the public as to where they would like their priorities are set forth is just a suggestion. From that suggestion list, then it's up to you guys to determine where you would get the most bang for your bucks, instead of just coming with a wish list, what Tom has alluded to, so-called emergency spending. But if you take a look in any federal or state funding of any project, it always starts with a survey. And I think that's a vital part in the fiduciary responsibility of our monies. Thank you.
No further comment. The meeting is adjourned.